expanded neutral zone. We talked about it, and how many yards does that expand behind the defensive line? 2 yards. In the field of play, does it expand into the end zone?
No.
Negative. So the field of play we know is the area bound by the sideline and the goal line. Is that right? The field is the area bound by the end line and the sideline. Is that right? Yep. So the neutral zone expands 2 yards on any given down to allow for regular line plays we discussed. That means offensive players driving defensive players off the ball in the area that's commonly known as the trenches, basically. So we offer that expanded neutral zone for, when for people being eligible to bat passes, defensive linemen, that is, to block scrimmage kicks that are maybe in the that would happen in the regular neutral zone before it was expanded. So just know that it only expands in one direction, does not expand into the end zone. Watch this video again.
We get good alert to get this ineligible receiver downfield. Watch the right tackle. You're going to see that he's about 4, maybe even 5 yards downfield when the pass is released. Now the snapper is pretty far down, but certainly the right tackle is down. And so this is a good call. This is a good announcement by the referee. He takes his time to very clearly describe what the foul is and what the number of the player is. Well done.
Ineligible receiver downfield, offense number 77.
Prior to the pass being released, the lineman may not be downfield more than 2 yards. Again, at 2 yards, you're going to be guessing. Do not be so technical with that. Make it bigger, and hopefully you won't guess wrong. Watch another one.
We have an ineligible receiver downfield on this play, and we don't get it. The second man in from the right side of the formation is on the line of scrimmage, and he's covered up. Now, he's probably supposed to be in the backfield, or else the man on the end is supposed to be in the backfield. But in any case, they both go down the field, or else the man on.
He's pointing back, telling the guy he's off, I'm off. But we don't have a straight shot down the line, but we can see that there's no blade of grass there, and potentially the inside guy is even farther up than the outside receiver at the end on the bottom of the screen. Tracking that. So what do we call that? That is colloquially known as covered up. And he cannot go downfield if a pass is thrown during the down that crosses the neutral zone until that is released. Same as
the end is supposed to be in the backfield, but in any case, they both go down.
Way more than that 2 yards, and the pass is obviously beyond the neutral zone, untouched by anybody. So foul if you had that guy covered up. So we'll take a look at the initial formation. So we've got the slot that's in the backfield. Everybody else appears to be on the line of scrimmage, so we're good there.
Right before we popped on, Brandon Marcello, very good report for 20% scores. He covered over for quite a while before he got his current job.
Yep, so we see big number, whatever, leaked a long ways downfield.
Coach in history. Certainly the modern history.
So we talked about the rule change, or rather a rule difference on Saturday. We won't go into it now, but there's nothing that says we're going to pick this flag up because the passer legally grounded the ball once he got out of the free blocking zone. So I did not download the new slide as Garrett told me to. Of course, I could add it here if I wish, but I'll just tell you, everybody listening at home, everybody here, we did get clarification from Charlie. Illegal touching of a legal forward pass in the backfield by A is a spot foul. That's how we're going to adjudicate that. It's really touchy. I mean, it makes sense, yes. It makes sense, no. I mean, I like it. It's a pass play. Let's go previous spot and move on. But it is, if we're going to follow our philosophies and mantras, it's a foul against the ball. Like all the other fouls against the ball this year, bats, kicking, and so on. Those are going to be spot fouls versus the whole space mass, anything else that on a player, that is a foul versus the ball, foul versus a player, if you're following me. Yep, so we've got A56 He's ineligible by number and possibly position as well. If he lined up as a back, he would be eligible by position. But he lines up as a back and he stays there, and the quarterback dumps it to him. 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Y'all get the scenario. That'll be a spot foul. Let's see something here.
It's just kind of a crazy play here, but note the score and the time. This initially on.
Yeah, thanks. So we went through this one. Yeah, there was discussion about forward or backward pass. So this is a really tight one for, that would cause some grumbles. But for our purposes, learning purposes tonight, this is we'll call it an illegal forward pass. Rather, it's a legal forward pass, because if it was illegal, we couldn't have illegal touching, right, by a lineman. So it's a legal forward pass. He's still up. It's it's a picture in your mind that it's forward, and he gets it, touched it behind the line of scrimmage. Foul. But he forgot to tuck it away, took a couple steps, and fumbled it out.
Formation, what are the restrictions, or what are the requirements?
That's formation. Look, guys at the bottom, they've got there's plenty of space there, right? That slot receiver is obviously off the ball. But this is one so it's coming back to me now. But move on into this tight end, right? Talk about line of scrimmage people's pre-snap routine. You can't just look at it and say, okay, this is press coverage or not, which is press coverage. Line of scrimmage people, if you've got somebody this tight on the ball, you need to look through, clear the snap, and then make sure this defensive player or offensive player doesn't come up with a swift, strike to the head or face mask, or grab the face mask and ride the guy downfield. That's your initial key when you're out there clearing this action here. But if you identify this, which you should and you need to, you've got to stay with this guy the whole time. Own him, as Larry likes to say. So you're owning him throughout the down. You say, all right, boom, I've got a 90-degree fist towards the defensive backfield as a line of scrimmage official. You're going to watch what he does. Of course, taking into account, is there a pass thrown? Is it touched or tipped or anything at the line of scrimmage? A lot of commentary with this video. So maybe it was a blunt coverage, or again, as we joked last week, maybe these are some of the top athletes in the country, and they identified it off the bat, just like that line of scrimmage person was supposed to do, that this guy's covered up and he can't go downfield, so he's no threat to us in the passing game. He gets down there, and it's an easy, obvious touchdown, but not going to count if they get it. Any questions there? Pass interference. So remember this, again, this question is on pretty much every exam that we take. When do restrictions begin and end? Pass interference restrictions for A begin at the snap because they know what play is coming. B restrictions when the ball is released. What is action on a, potentially illegal action on a receiver prior to the ball being released? Holding. Could be holding, right? Or could have a personal foul or whatever in that case. But what it is not is defensive pass interference. So exactly what I was going for. So the requirements: legal forward pass that crosses the neutral zone and is untouched by Team B. Again, restrictions end. This is just something that you got to know it. But the restrictions end for B. Passes touched by A or B, and some restrictions still continue when A is touched a pass. But again, learn it. Go to Rule 7 and memorize it before the test. Talking about this is our old college boss has staunch opinion on this, whether or not people are playing the ball or not. Tangled feet can happen. It does. It's incidental many times, but don't just give benefit of the doubt and rotely wave off anything, because there is potential for, just like we want contact by the defender and or offender for them to be playing the ball. Make sure you're looking at that and you've got viewing distance to discern. So the definition's pretty simple, right? Contact that hinders, which makes it even that much more subjective when there's I'm talking about when there's no actual criteria to box it into or lump it into, but hinders ability to move, opportunity rather, to move toward, catch, or bat a legal forward pass. I mentioned some of them the other day. Monfrey, can you tell me a couple of what we would call maybe things you might see on defensive pass interference?
Oh, we talk about like grab and restrict,
Yeah, stuff.
turn, like if he hooks his arm and actually turns the shoulder pads.
What do we see?
From where he wants to go.
Exactly. So, slanting receivers or receivers that are running a post, if the defender gets there early, he's got that hand around the waist and he hooks it. We've all seen it, right? He just tugs a little bit too early, or tugs way too early, or tugs way too hard. Stop the tugging now.
We need to add on this too, so legal forward pass beyond the line of scrimmage. It's behind the line of scrimmage, you're fine. You see that often on screen.
So, yeah, great point. Thank you. The pass and the contact. Those are that's the two main things we got to have, right? Pass and the contact. So if the pass is behind, contact's behind, could have a holding. Many times there's nothing. We'll gotta just see that to know what you've got, but certainly not defensive pass interference behind the line of scrimmage. That cannot be by rule.
On this play, we have a couple of fouls, one by each team.
So we watch this. That's obvious taunting. You can't tell if he spit or not. If he did, of course, they would have ejected him. But does everybody know that, right? If you spit on somebody, that's an automatic ejection. No ifs, ands, or buts. My college umpire, he still has the slight disdain of our boss because they let a guy stay in the game last year, wherever they were. He said, well, I don't know how he rationalized it or what they were thinking during the game, but yeah, I mean, spitting is automatic. You're out of here. Everybody agree and got that moving forward. Don't let it get back to your boss.
Yeah, but you got to see it, right? You got to see it.
You got to see it. He spit on me. If you see it dripping down his face or whatever, I mean.
Well,
Yes, ideally you'd like to see the whole thing. So, roughing the passer, the enforcement, so it happens during a loose ball play, right? You've got to have a legal forward pass for the passer to be rough. So, but inherently that is by definition a loose ball play. What's the enforcement on regular loose ball plays? Easy, right? Previous spot. Roughing the passer is a special exception or has special enforcement. And read the paragraph there on the left. It's actually just a sentence, with 50 words in it to spell it out nice for you, but really says the dead ball spot, when that spot is beyond the neutral zone, A's in possession, there's been no change of team possession during the down. Yep. So otherwise, it's enforced on the previous spot, just like any other loose ball play. So A passes, ball snap from the 50, A passes to the B40, runs to the B30 and fumbles. Ball goes out of bounds at the B25, the fumble does, with no change of possession or anything. The enforcement spot is going to be the dead ball spot, not the fumble spot. So that's important to note here, and we'll say it again. So it's the dead ball spot versus the end of the run, end of the last run, that is. It's always the dead ball spot. which I was joking with somebody I was texting with last night. I've always disliked the way this rule's written, because say you've got a fumble by A who's run down to the B5, fumbles it through the back of the end zone for an apparent touchback. If all things were considered, or devoid of a foul. So just read this. The dead ball spot's beyond the neutral zone. Check. A is in possession of the ball, team possession. At the end of the down, check. And there's been no change of team possession. Check. So none of those things happen. It says we're supposed to enforce that from the dead ball spot. The dead ball spot's obviously the back of the end zone, and I assume in that scenario we're taking that from the previous spot. Only way to take it, even though all the things where they say dead ball spot would be correct here. Everybody good? From the dead ball spot.
And an empty backfield. Now, all officials have initial keys, so let's talk about that for this formation. First, the side judge will have the number 1 receiver from the top of the screen. The headline judge will have the number 2 receiver, and the back judge will take the 3rd receiver in from the top.
Told you last week.
And on the bottom side of the formation, the field judge.
Some keys and how to enforce rather some pre-snap kind of thoughts and responsibilities for 5-man crews. Go peruse the website for that and check it out. It'll at least get your mind thinking about what you can look at pre-snap. Same, that likely some of that stuff I was talking about jams by receivers that are pressing. You might find that in there too. But all right, so what did we say about offensive, defensive pass interference? 2 main criteria, right? Contact's got to be beyond, pass has to be beyond the neutral zone. So we see the guy on the M in the black jersey. He's running out. It's had blurry, but yep. So this guy below the blue line, yeah. So he catches it there. So that is behind the neutral zone. It's tough to tell what's going on with this contact. I mean, does he run a route? I don't know, but this guy he's laying on top of, he does lay this guy out. But all this for naught. The ball's caught on the neutral zone. This is a big old nothing, right? BON. Looks bad. There's players lying on the ground, flying around everywhere. But if it was not a blindside block or any,
we'll get a good call from our referee for roughing the passer on this play. You can see that as the passer releases the ball, 2 players hit him. The second one comes in. Both of these are unnecessary, but certainly the second one.
So that's late as can be, right? 3, 4, 5 steps. It's just obviously late. He's just one he threw all year, probably.
Finally got to the goal. Just 3 seconds too late.
So easy enforcement on this one, right? The ball is basically on the logo at the 50. Tag it on. That's easy enough. Dead ball spot, 15 yards to it. It's another RPS, roughing the passer. So that is,
Well, I mean, it's hard to tell.
that's the key there. He's jumping and he cannot come down with that mitt across the face of the passer. So this qualifies as roughing the passer because we're gonna call that a backward pass, right? Yeah. Clearly was. I mean, you can see it even from this angle. We hope it was anyway. So this guy, passing posture, winds up,
Oh, yeah.
and just takes two big slaps off the helmet. I mean, that's roughing the passer all day.
I was already, I just noticed.
All right, so is there a difference in enforcement on who recovers here? Is that,
Yeah.
what was the results of the pass? Was it an interception?
Only did 30 fumble, he got run over after.
Yeah,
Look
so
at
we
him
knew,
laying there like, oh.
we know dang sure that White is not gonna keep the football, right? They didn't get it with clean hands, roughing the passer, even though, I mean, it could have been intercepted almost immediately. Roughing the passer, that we're gonna consider that while the ball's in flight. I mean, that is what that foul means. So, going back to that terrible run-on sentence from earlier, it says change of possession. If we got a change of possession during the down, it's a pretty good spot. So it's all that flying around on the ground and unpiling players, that's unpleasant thing you've got to do. But once we get it sorted out, take that previous spot, 15 yards or half the distance, wherever it was. They're on the 50, so we can get all of it. So again, some more definitions. Terms pass, fumble, and kick are sometimes used as abbreviations when the ball is loose. Question a few years back was, I think it was pass, fumble, kick, and muff are examples of loose balls. Yep, and not a muff, right? I answered yes. I think so. I saw pass. Read 90% of the question. Muff is obviously not correct. A muff is an action on the ball to obviously in an unsuccessful attempt to secure possession. But pass, fumble, kick, a muff does not change the status of the ball, I think is maybe what they're getting at here. And nor does a bat or kicking the ball, kicking a live loose ball. So live ball's in play, ball becomes dead when it does, right? What are ways that could happen?
Inadvertent whistle.
IW will kill it. Out of bounds. So either a loose ball or a held ball being out of bounds, right? Or a ball in player possession, that is. Incomplete pass. Either whether legal or illegal, that would cause it to die. What about this is a fundamental? Any fouls that will cause it to become dead immediately? No live ball fouls for sure. So some people will say the closest we get to that is when you've got a face mask ripped off of the runner, right? That's not a live ball foul that causes it to become dead. What caused the down to become dead in that scenario?
Helmet
Coming off the runner with the football, right? Because what if the helmet comes off the simulated runner? Yeah, still live, right? It's not the person with the football. Too bad. It potentially could. We could have a foul there, but it is. Live ball is always in possession of a team. You got to know it. No live ball foul causes the ball to become dead. Legal snap or free kick. Right? Know that. Know all these. Again, the catching is always preceded by touching of the ball, so we see that often when we've got a player that's standing out of bounds, player or non-player, I guess, anything out of bounds that touches the ball, or got a player laying on the sideline when a fumble's bounding his way, and he touches it, right? And then it goes on and talks about some other stuff. It doesn't matter. As soon as he touches it and he's out of bounds, the ball is ruled dead because it's out of bounds as well. So I just have the group name some ball at rest, motionless, and no player attempts to secure it. So we rarely see that. We're going to blow it a little bit quicker. I mean, I wouldn't mess around with this. That's how you get yourself into situations. If nobody's around it, if they're all just kind of jump stepping at it, kill it, shut it down, and let's move on to the next play. Forward progress stopped. You'll see this, and a lot of people don't understand this. Fans, coaches, even newer officials, how a player can end up out of bounds still with the ball and his progress being driven back. But we know that if his progress is stopped clearly in bounds, then we're going to what? Wind it right, sir.
What about they both catch the pass, A and B catch the pass, and they're still going forward, if they're still wrestling with it?
Yep.
Is it once the catch is done, you roll this, or you just?
Sure, when you're
simultaneous.
Or he's looking down.
Yep. So the bullet, top right bullet, whenever you gauge that one player has possession, but if you rule simultaneous catch or recovery, then we're giving it to A unless it's a fourth down and it's a kick situation, then it would belong to R at that point.
It's an immediate whistle, not he's gonna let us wrestle with them.
Yep. Exactly. As soon as you judge recovery, but if they are tussling back and forth, I know it's a tough whistle to blow. Any whistle that causes the ball to while there's apparent game action going on, sure, tough thing to do. But judgment wise, but yes, that's a good point. It's anybody seen that? It's a tough whistle to blow, a hard thing to call too. I mean, you gotta have squabbles, man up, and say but it happens. Chuck, I see you back there. Have had it, yeah.
I think you're better off to call that quicker than later. I mean, there's a lot of crap that can happen. You can lay that whistle.
Especially letting, if you do wait till later, one of them's going to have broken free, and you're going to have one entire sideline and coaching staff and et cetera. It's going to be on you the rest of the night for taking that off the board. But that's a great question. Player out of bounds. So we know that any player or other person, when they're touching any body part is touching out of bounds, remains out of bounds until they reestablish, right? Which is what that bold part says. Touching any body part in bounds with none out of bounds. So it's just the contrary, right? Ball player possession is out of bounds when the runner touches anything other than another player. So we know what a player is, right? That's a squad member who is participating during that down versus a non-player or substitute, whatever, whoever the trainer, et cetera, who's over there on the sideline. So for example, ball carrier's running down the sideline, team B has made his way out of bounds due to whatever reason. He's just stepped on over there, and we get a stiff arm from team A, clearly touching, grabbing, shoving that player off of him. That's clearly standing out of bounds. That's not out of bounds, right? That's what this is saying. Whereas if he, not in his right mind, saw something in peripheral, the down box, and grabbed that and tried to stiff arm it just, in a frenzied rush towards the end zone, that is out of bounds, right? And would render the down completed at that point.
I got a question.
Sure.
Receiver going downfield, he's blocked out of bounds. He returns immediately, so he gets the first opportunity.
Returns both feet back in bounds.
He's got a foot back in bounds. Nothing else is touching out of bounds. He catches the pass. That's a completed pass, right?
It is. Yep. Versus he's still mid stride, and that foot that you're talking about that is in bounds is not. It's still in the air.
Yeah.
Then we've got him out of bounds. So it needs to be touching. But if he's established with that part in, no other body part out to contrast it, then in and complete on the pass.
So if he goes out on his own, comes back then you got illegal touching or participation. Right?
Yep, illegal participation. And
illegal touching.
participation.
He's eligible. Yeah.
Yeah, he's eligible.
Catch it down.
Yeah.
Yep. So, he doesn't, doesn't have to touch it either. If he goes out on his own before a change of possession and comes back in, that's a foul for him coming back in. And if we have a pass after that, then if there's a pass or run, that's what will dictate, as with any play, what the basic spot will be for the enforcement of that foul. So if he goes out of bounds downfield, beyond the neutral zone, comes back in, there's a legal forward pass to him, he touches it or not, doesn't matter. Say it falls incomplete, then the basic spot for that loose ball play is previous spot. So that's a tough one to call too, right? You've got a bomb downfield, a guy just has gone out of bounds, and you get a score. That's potentially a 60-yard foul. If a kid's got enough arm, bringing it back to the previous spot.
And the funny thing about it could be just that much of his shoe touches a line as he's running down the sideline. That's all it takes.
That's all it takes. So be aware, and that is what but looking at those keys and knowing what to look at. Again, the 10-yard belt is important, and that's just how 5-man mechanics have to work. There's no, with only 5 sets of eyes, 10 eyes out there watching everything. Question?
So ball not involved, if he goes out of bounds and comes in and throws a block, that's still legal participation.
Yep.
He goes out on his own.
Yep.
You can take the ball out of play. So that's hard to remember too. If he goes out of bounds, he might as well just stop and stand.
Yes.
If he goes out on his own.
So the right mechanic on what you guys are talking about, guy goes down field 60 yards, he's 30 yards into his bomb pattern.
His jet. Yeah.
His foot touches the sideline. The proper mechanic is when he touches the sideline, if he keeps going, you drop the flag at that point in time. Okay, because he still is participating in the play, correct?
Yep.
You don't wait till it's thrown in. You don't wait till it catches it, because if it goes to the other side of the field and it's complete for 20 yards, if he still kept going, okay, that's still a foul.
Yep.
It is a foul.
Yep. It is. Yeah.
When
he comes back in. So if he just touches it, I mean, if he's uncontested runner before, again, A or K before change of team possession, so that's a foul for illegal participation. Again, whether he throws a block, whether he catches a pass, anything else.
So you throw it at the time it happens.
Mechanically, what you need to do in this is, because the only way you're going to see this is either the B if you're keying on him initially, or if it's your line of scrimmage and you feel the shift of the play coming this way, or you know that there's going to be a pass down there. So while the ball's in the air, of course, you're going to have eyes on your receiver. I would not stop, plant, and throw it at a spot you're going to be running to earlier, or rather later on in the play. Have in your mind's eye, or pick a landmark, big yard line is what we would advise, and run down and drop your flag on it as you're running past. There's no sense in, obviously if the play's going this way, you're not going to try and throw it and then be running after your flag. So that is a good point. And that's how it should be officiated and adjudicated from a penalty standpoint.
Brian.
Yes.
Got some younger wings asking for clarification on when to stop it when the runner's forced out of bounds, like in terms of winding in and stopping it when the runner's forced out of bounds.
Okay. So, do we have any forward progress on here? Got a question about forward progress, and we will address it.
Coming up. Yeah, it's right there.
Okay, here's one. So he's basically, this is the quarterback, and he's basically wrapped up by 2 players in bounds right there. You kill it and wind it there. Why we're winding it is because he's just steps away from the sideline now. Good job by that wing official. Can't see him now, but you know, keeping some spacing. Yeah, maybe could have bailed a little bit earlier. Didn't see him there, but get upstream just a tad bit more. And forward progress, just it's a feel thing, but knowing the definition, obviously, is when the runners progress is stopped. You watch enough football, you call enough football, you know it when you see it. It's a judgment thing. We've got a couple more plays on. Is it not? When is he wrapped up? I mean, if you're a referee, you give a little bit shorter leash on the quarterback. Just you don't want people coming on in and pounding him. And but forward progress with one player on one player, that's very, very tough to call. But it kind of wait another half second, see how it plays out, and go from there. Doesn't answer a lot, but we've got a ton of plays on the website. I would just defer to those and just watch enough of them.
Quick pass behind the neutral zone to the slot receiver number 5. He turns it upfield. We see he's hit, tackled, and the ball comes out, and his helmet comes completely off. Now, the defense is signaling that they have the ball, but as we go back and look at the low end zone view, we see that the helmet comes completely off.
He's clearly got possession of the football, right? So all the stuff that happens afterwards is inconsequential.
When the runner's helmet comes completely off.
All right, when's this runner down?
Okay, back to Baylor. Good call here. The officials are going to put the quarterback down in the field of play. There's no safety in the.
He looks bad.
Ball's fine, right?
Ball and hand are fine. Feet are fine.
He's dead. The ball's dead when a runner's body part, other than a hand or a foot, right? And a wrist. The wrist is part of the hand. Ankle is part of the foot. A game one night where the player gets down and he uses the ball to catch his balance and he leaves the football there. There's a mad scramble then, but still alive. Don't kill it.
No.
It's tempting. So again, I'm not sure if this even plays out, but that's had to be what the video was getting at. Not a dead ball, right? He got that fully out of the end zone. We're gonna put him at the 1 or whatever. Move on to the next play. I think this is a.
Play 4, the offense faces 3rd and 7 at their own 10. And we're going to get a pass toward the boundary. The receiver catches the ball, turns upfield, he's hit, and fumbled. Number 4 from the defense is going to scoop up the ball, and he's going to run down the sideline for a touchdown. Now, the ruling on the field is catch, fumble, recovery by the defense, and run for a touchdown. Now, replay's obviously going to come in and take a look at this and stop the game for review. And as we go back and take a look at all aspects of the play, and if we use the end zone view, we see it's a clear catch, and it's beyond the line of game. The receiver turns upfield, the ball is clearly out, so we have a catch and a fumble, and then the ball stays in bounds. We see the defender, he comes from out of bounds, reestablishes back in bounds. We see the left foot down, the right foot is up, and he scoops the ball, and he's going to run back down the sideline. He stays in bounds the whole way.
The receiver, while he was fumbling it, was out of bounds.
His heel is out right there. He's touching the ball.
And if we look at it, we see the receiver after the fumble. And the ball is loose. His left heel is going to come down.
Right there, his foot's out of bounds. His foot's out of bounds right there.
Ball loose.
Doesn't matter whether he touches it. Whether he touches it.
This is a catch and a fumble that goes out of bounds. So
All right, so White white player has to establish back.
He did.
He does.
This year's rule change.
But any Friday night field we go to, this play is going to look just like that. We're going to hopefully bag it, let it play out, and I mean I saw a fumble there until we had the friggin' high offensive end zone one that showed us that in super slow mo that was the guy was out of bounds. It's very difficult play to officiate, but for rule's sake, we know that yes, as we discussed, player touching the sideline, touching a live ball, loose ball, out of bounds, dead ball.
Whatever you do, come in forcefully.
Yeah.
Don't just meander over there and go, I think he's out of bounds. Sell it.
If you talk about it for 5 minutes in a group, then you're not selling it.
Sell it.
It's like they don't know.
Sell it quick.
Yeah.
Sell it quick and get back to the line.
Yeah.
So this is a heck of a diagram with some arrows discussing forward progress. If a ball carrier goes out of bounds on his own, you're not going to have forward progress there. I mean, if he's able to stride out, to glide out, to dive out of bounds, forward progress is not stopped. It's when he meets opposition from a defensive player and is driven backwards.
Go to that grill anytime soon. I need you to stay involved in this conversation. But no, when you say according, go to that grill anytime soon. I need you to stay involved in this conversation. But no, when you say according to that grill anytime soon, I need you to stay involved in this conversation.
29-yard line.
But no, when you say according, go to that grill anytime soon. I need you to stay involved.
Alright, so. The one where he come over, you're talking about the ball touching.
Okay, yeah, this one.
Say the action doesn't make the ball.
Play forward, the offensive base is 3rd and 7 on the 10, and we're going to get a pass toward the boundary. The receiver catches the ball, turns upfield, he's hit. Number 4 from the
Because his left foot touches before he picks the ball up.
he's going to run down this.
When you look at it on the back view, his left foot touches inbound before he touches the ball.
Yeah, it's very tight. It's near simultaneous, but I think we've got a clear view here of that left foot being down, the right foot's up, and then he controls the ball with picks it up.
Look at all aspects of the play, and if we use the end zone view, we see it's a clear catch, and it's beyond the line of gate. The receiver turns upfield, the ball is clearly out, so we have a catch of a fumble.
Sure. So we've got both players, rather the black players in bounds now.
Reestablishes back in bounds. We see left
Picks
down.
it up. His foot is in bounds. His left foot is down before his hands touch the
Back in bounds. We see the left down.
That would be legal.
It's legal. He's in bounds. He has established back in. Tight as can be. So mechanically here,
Go to that grill anytime soon. I need you to stay
Garrett's
involved in
notes
this
say-
conversation. But no, when you say according,
I don't think he knows. I mean, I feel like this game
Go
was
to
pulled
that
from another state, maybe. Unless anybody identifies this turf, but don't know where the line of gain is. The chains are on our close side.
anytime soon. I need you to stay involved in this conversation.
I'd say forward progress is stopped. Where would we say? So 29?
28.
Yep, either one of those is a good ballpark. If we're even tighter to the sideline than this,
time soon. I need you to stay involved in this conversation.
The wing, he stops, got a great look at it. But how far away is he now?
7 yards.
7 yards, looking at an angle. What if the line to gain is, if we're here, if it's close to the sideline, if he doesn't happen to have this cushion, this far side wing here needs to come out. And I've heard people say, to the hashes even, offering a help, some help to line your buddy up over there. So wings, it's crucial that you do that. Especially, I mean, they're pretty much uncontested. The catch is contested. There's really no other fluff or traffic around these guys. So he's got a clear view of it. Maybe he can get it, maybe he can't. Other plays you may be jumping, dodging linebackers that are flying at your knees. So you might not have the best look at where this progress spot is. So good to help your buddy. And we call it, Jonathan, a mirroring or soft spot or all the words that we use for it. Yep. So
down completion he made when he sidestepped the pressure, remained calm, and found his target. Shows the poise of the redshirt freshman Trey Lance. Second down.
So what made that help? He's blocking. No, not in that play. He was pushing the quarterback.
So, not progress there, right? We've got a quarterback with a full head of steam who shakes off that as well. You'd be tempted.
75. In a basketball game, he'd get an assist.
We're not. This is not a foul that we want, guys. If you're pushing the pile, not a foul. What we want is grabbing, pulling something big. Jody Moots and I had one of them freaking Sunday South Carolina. What are the South Carolina club football? Jesus.
That was your first mistake, is you looked with Moots.
But he called it, but anybody in the stands could have called it. There's one where, the offensive lineman basically grabs the person in a holding pot, his teammate, the running back, and just absolutely pulls him, maybe throws him over his shoulder towards, towards the defending team's end zone. Obvious foul. That's what we want for helping the runner. I don't know. It seems that pile was big enough again where I can say nearly unequivocally, like, we don't want it. If it's the running back and we've got the Bush push or this most recent Philly thing that we see happening, if you're able to see it's one player pushing one player, but that just looked like a big gaggle to me. Stay off of it, I would say.
Tyler Johnston just 6 for 11, and he's not going to get the first down. That's a nice play. Ball's loose at the 40. Is it blown down? Yes. It's been blown down, but certainly they'll take a look. The ball's loose, and Tyler Johnston just 6 for 11, and he's not going to get the first down. That's a nice play. Ball's loose at the 40. Is it blown down? Yes. It's been blown down, but certainly they'll take a look at this as Johnston was stopped. Remember this, and just 6 for 11, and he's not going to get the first down. That's a nice play. Ball's loose at the 40. Is it blown down? Yes. It's been blown down, but certainly they'll take a look at this as Johnston was stopped. Remember, this is a herd defense that has forced a lot of recovery.
The runner was down prior to the ball coming loose.
I didn't think that was the case. I thought it was a quick whistle.
I think the topic of this video was
they need to take another look at that. The whistle was not quick, but to me it didn't look like Johnston was down on the ground. They have to take another look at this.
Multiple times, getting the wacky whistle as if you've got a foul.
The previous play is under review.
Billy Williams is the
forward progress of the airborne receiver, so player possession. And this, I think, did we go over these the other day? That I've come further into the presentation and talk about this? Can't remember, but if we did talk about it, we'll go over it again. I say that because this is a tad incorrect when we talk about definitions strictly. Possession is when we actually have a catch that has happened. Here, this first bullet, we want player control or player holding a ball in flight, and then contact in the ground, then maintaining control after hitting the ground. Then if we've got all the elements of a catch, then we have possession that has occurred, right? Forward progress of an airborne player. So he jumps, controls the ball. What do we need to have forward progress that we said? Contact by a defensive player, right, or a B player would be the defense in all cases. And the furthest point of advancement after control is established. So, you see some players, they'll get it on their fingertips and then try to bring it in there. So whenever you, as the calling official, judge, he had firm control and then contacted and driven back, that's where his progress would stop. So the catch, again, is not completed until if the player does go to the ground, then he survives the ground or maintains control through the ground.
Lands at about the 1 yard line.
The difference.
And then he is tackled there,
Left and the right.
the 1 yard line.
Contact that occurs on the left, on the right,
and then he is tackled there.
I guess, or however they did that animation.
And then he is tackled there.
But it's a good video. So on the left, touchdown.
And then he is tackled there.
Forward progress stopped at the 1 or half yard line or whatever you want to judge it.
So the difference, as you'll see,
Everybody got that?
on the left,
More forward progress looks like a pass receiver driven backwards. So this illustrates it very well what I was talking about earlier. So got about the 42. We'll say was back towards the camera that he's pretty much there. So still, even don't know what down this is. Doesn't matter unless we're talking about like what are you thinking pre-snap, and this line of scrimmage official drifts just a tad. All right, 1, 2, falls out within 1.5, 2 seconds max. So he's inserted himself into the play. Even this 1 yard difference here, he's in much better shape, I think. So just, make sure you clear these short passes. Here it says he's looked at the stats or run whatever and has read something that, none of the, what is it? I threw out an arbitrary 90% of the passes in high school were less than 15 yards or something like that. So just knowing that, it's maybe a completely bogus stat, but sounds unless it's somebody with a gunslinger, which you may run across, you go to Malden or friggin' Dorman or whatever. But again, I say all that to say this guy just hang tight a little bit longer at the line of scrimmage. But it's good work. He rules very effectively on it, but he's dodging players at his feet. Maybe the yards that give him the cushion. But everybody agrees forward progress inbounds. Line was good. Mechanics good otherwise. So and here's, I think, a real
conversion attempt. And the quarterback's going to roll to the right and throw to his receiver just inside the end zone. And the line judge is going to rule a catch for a touchdown and 2 points.
Yep.
Now we're going to go back and take a look at this catch. And I really want to talk about 2 points. One, the process of the catch, and then the progress point of the catch. Now, we get a good look right down the goal line, and we're going to see the receiver. He's airborne. He gains firm control of the end zone while he's in the end zone.
By the defense.
And he's driven back by the defender. Now, he gets a body part down. You see that left foot comes down. But since he's going to the ground, he must maintain firm control of the ball throughout the process. The line judge and throw to
Yeah, so perfect. Wings, you know, you're gonna be in your sidestep stance, gliding down the field, head looking back towards the line of scrimmage to kind of read the play, see what your tackle's doing. Actually, in this close to the I misspeak, you know, I want you doing something else. This close to the goal line with a set of receivers like this, you need to be watching their action. 100%, because one of them is going to freaking throw a block on somebody or pick somebody, and interject himself into the play where it doesn't need to. So,
and the quarterback's going to roll to the right and throw to his receiver just inside the end zone, and the line judge
tried.
throw to his receiver just
the guy that actually hits the guy that actually hits the potential receiver, the orange player,
roll to the right and throw to his receiver just inside the end zone,
that's
and the line
super close
judge
to
is going to rule a catch for it.
All right, some timing stuff. When does the game clock start on a legal snap? So this is when are we going on the snap is what that, so the ball goes out of bounds at any time, right? We don't have a provision under, you know, any kind of timing provisions about whether a player possessed ball or team possessed ball goes out of bounds. If it's out of bounds, it's going on the snap. B or R's award a new series. Either team will renew series after a legal kick. Ball dead behind the goal line. So that is either touchback or safety, right? So the pause was to see if either of those weren't on the list, but maybe that's what that means. Maybe it doesn't, but that's always what I think there. If you've got a touchback or safety or touchdown, we're going on the snap after the fact. The results of the play, that is. So, you know, it doesn't, the net result doesn't have to be a touchdown, touchback, or safety, but if the results of the play at the end of the down is that snap.
Talk about where you got illegal forward pass and complete.
Illegal forward pass?
Yeah.
So
where it starts on the snap. What do we want?
Yeah, so that's a referee discretion thing, and I would say that you know, illegal forward passes, if thrown late in the game to conserve time, is when we could think about going on the ready for play. So here, I mean, yes, I'm not sure the exact verbiage in the book or whether or not it pegs if it just says incomplete forward pass, but certainly referees have the latitude late in the game, time critical situations to wind it up if it was a clear attempt to conserve time. Yeah, that's generally accepted. And a fair catch is made, so that would of course be after a legal kick down anyway. So rule change from last year: foul occurs in 2 minutes, under 2 minutes in either half. Is that what that's supposed to say, guys? It's 1:59 or below. Below 2 minutes, under 2 minutes. Yep. So 1:59 or below. The offended team, regardless of score, timeouts, and none of that. Just the under 2 minutes, the offended team has the option to start the game clock on the snap. Just on the snap. It can go from ready to snap. If it's already going snap, we don't get the option. So there's no need to offer them anything. And the rule change from last year: foul does not have to be accepted. So this is again, while referees maybe could have exercised their game management skills in the past and said, oh, that was a clear attempt to conserve time, whatever it was, now they don't make sense to do that. Take some thinking out of it, which is good.
On the game clock on this play and the fact that the game clock is running. This means that this play qualifies for a 10-second runoff because we have a false start, and that's a foul that causes the clock to stop immediately. No, this means that this play qualifies for a 10-second runoff because we have a false start, and that's a foul that causes the clock to stop immediately. Now, the option for the runoff lies with the defensive team.
I don't know. I'm not a coach. I would probably ask him in this case, like it's 7-7. Second quarter, like why would Georgia want this on the snap? You know, but just to say they don't have to accept it, they're going to, but they get the option regardless. Is everybody tracking that? Any smart guys tell me why that Georgia would maybe want it on? snap here, and trying to get the ball back. Yeah, they're in score position. Notre Dame's got a timeout, so I don't know. But again, this is likely just to illustrate where we are in time.
They were on the other end of the field, you might do that.
Sure.
Try and force them to punt the ball with 2 seconds.
Sure, in the red zone to give them an extra snap.
Not giving them extra time.
So when does the game clock stop? And this is basically, I think, talking about end of down. So down ends, falling or foul, officials, timeouts taken. So what, injury, anything, chains snapped. We all see that happen. Legal forward pass and so on. So just know the timing rules. It's not something that's just going to come to you by osmosis. Get in the book, learn them. Sure, certainly you're going to see a couple timing related questions on the test, and essentially every question that you take, if it's a case play, so to speak, which we know case plays are something where you've got to work out a foul. There's a play scenario. You're going to want to know down, distance, clock status at the end of every one. But play clock and game clock. So these slides are out here again. I won't go over these too much, but one that might not have got exercised as much as it should is that foul committed by the defense is a 40. Certainly, if you've got a back judge that's on it or a play clock operator at big school, but it slipped my mind a couple times throughout the year, and I'm sure it did for a lot of other people as well. But a defensive foul, just know it. Still in the book, double punt. I think the reasoning behind it was they're not going to throw 10-second runoffs or anything crazy about fouls in there with us, but talking about time critical situations, defense fouls late in the game to potentially stop the game clock or whatever, or I don't know, the play clock.
If he gets a first down here, he'll use that timeout. Has one left.
Ali Kareem was well across the line of scrimmage. He's trying to get back. Whistles blew.
First down here, he'll use that timeout.
Especially if you have unmated to the quarterback on Friday night, that's a 40. So this was a test question a couple years ago, wasn't it? That possession of a live ball in an opponent's end zone is always a touchdown. And it left out the team or the player possession aspect of it. I can't remember what it was, but it was a super gotcha type question. But when we say possession of a live ball, which is how it's written as the fundamental, possession of a live ball in an opponent's end zone is always a touchdown. It doesn't specify player or team. And I guess we're talking about force and such in that case, right? Whether it will be a touchdown. So if we've got a loose ball that's done bounding whatever way, which way it's going to go, and B or A knocks it back into whatever end zone, then that would maybe dictate the status of the ball. But just know that make it more complicated than it is. Player in possession of the ball in the opponent's end zone is a touchdown. The goal line is a plane, is that right? To get goal line extended, what do you need to be? What do you need to have? Try body part down, inbounds, right? You don't have to be in the end zone, like a foot in the end zone or anything like that, or touching the pylon or anything. You just got to have a foot somewhere in the field of play or in the end zone.
Let's see here. We've just got a great spot at the goal line, and man, we see so many good ones of this, and this is so hard. We think in the media sometimes it's so easy. It's never easy. Nothing is easy on the field. You got to element of control. Does the tip of the ball break the plane? It certainly does. Ball comes loose when he hits the ground, but it's over when the ball breaks the plane, and It's just another example of really another great call.
And so this guy, he runs in decently. I mean, but
He's hugging a big ass woman.
Yes, that tight though. Get it, closer to your ears maybe, and run in harder. All right, tries. Tries are interesting, right? So untimed, not numbered. So that's why we do the little twirly finger thing, right? A has an option to select where it snaps, which we call lateral position. And it occurs prior to the ready to play signal. Tries from the 3-yard line, plus move by penalty, and only A scores during the try. So people can conjure up these bounces and forces back into whomever's end zone, but A's the only one that can get points. So try begins. Remember one of the I missed it. How you get better, as I said, taking tests and getting them wrong is how you get better, because this was on, again, an exam. When does the try begin? I was like, I don't know, when it snapped, obviously, except that's not the right answer. It's when the ball is marked ready for play. Why does that matter? Because when we're talking about fouls and penalties, right? Penalties specifically. Dwayne, he was out at one of our Thursday field meetings, and he talked about the bank and the bank being open or closed. So we've got a touchdown that's happened. All the players are milling about and toiling around, and then we get a foul that happens before they're ready for play. What are the options for that foul? Penalty, rather. Try or succeeding kickoff, right? What about when the bank's closed? Now it's on the try, the succeeding spot, right? Because it's like a regular dead ball foul. Okay, so yep, everybody's got that. Yep.
Could you explain the what safety?
Yep. So again, it would have to be forced, because we know B. The easiest way would be to say, and this is not by rule, because we know again it's dead when B gets possession. If the rules were written in a totally different way, B got possession, then they fumbled it back into their own end zone, right? Brought it out and then brought it in. Yeah, we'd say that'd clearly be a safety. But in this case, we'd have to have, again, a loose ball and a new force would be knocking it back into their end zone. An illegal bat.
Ball would be batted back.
Batted, kicked, something like that. Buffed? Yep, buff. If the muff is a new force, yeah. So disregard all the fluff that I've said prior, because it's very easy to envision that it's
if B had possession, the ball would be dead.
if he did. So that's why disregard all that. But we've got a fumble by A a clear, obvious wind up bat by B that puts it back in their end zone and maybe over the end line. That's a 1 point safety going to 1 point for A.
If B's smart, they're gonna follow him and cost themselves 1 point. Right. Instead of letting A follow it, they want to.
Yep. So the way it's easy to get tripped up the way this is worded. So an apparent try for kick will not score. So don't go out there, and I'm sure it's happened to many young officials where they've read this and they're like, oh, well, apparent try will not score. And this happens, and we've got a fumble or whatnot, a muffed handoff or something like that, and they go ahead and kill it because and it's it. But when we're talking about try ending, it's a kick try, or rather a kick during a try that has apparently failed. That's how it's written. So yeah, block kicked, anything like that, boom, shut it down immediately and move on.
Extra point, and we're going to see the motion man, number 5, go across the formation, and then the offense snaps the ball. They're going to throw to number 5 in the flat. He's going to turn up, try to score. He's hit by a defender. The ball's going to come out. It rolls into the end zone. There's a scramble for the ball in the end zone, and then number 20 of the offense is ultimately going to come up with the ball. And just to add one more thing to this play, there's a call by a referee for roughing the passer. Now, as we break this play down, the action of number 5, he completes the catch, and as we look down the goal line, we see the ball definitely comes out before it breaks the plane of the goal. And if we follow the ball, it doesn't hit the pylon, and number 3 of the defense is going to reach back in, touch the loose ball while his feet are out of bounds. And we get another view that supports that the ball is out before the goal line, and the defender reaches from out of bounds to touch the ball before number 20 does recover. And the end zone view can confirm that the runner was clearly not out of bounds when he lost the ball, and the ball never hit the
result
pylon.
to the play is
So the play is immediately dead when the defender touches the ball while his feet are out of bounds. It is considered
we have to look up the
a
definition
fumble from the field of play into the end
technically
zone
a touchback,
where
as
the
it
ball
might
is
talk about
declared out of bounds.
after a touchback.
And during
we
the
had to
normal part of
put
the
ball
game,
at the
this would be a
20-yard line and
touchback.
kick it and stuff.
But
That's
because
all
this is
some
on the
down
try,
the red.
and it's out of bounds in the end zone, the try is simply
This is
no
not a
good.
touchback. This
Now,
is just
one
a
other point
try
of
that's no
note
good,
here,
right?
we have a rule similar to our fourth down
yes.
rule that applies on the try, and it states that before a change of before number 20 does recover it. Man, number 5, go across the formation, and then the offense snaps the ball. They're going to throw to number 5.
Dead ball spot, so
he's going to turn up, try to score.
It's a big difference, right? If he touches it
ball's
at
going to come out. It rolls into the end zone.
We're on a try, we're at 3, so
for the
the
ball
difference
in
is
the end
maybe
zone.
this much
And
to
then
this
number
much.
20 of the offense is ultimately going to come up with the ball.
But the
And
dead
just
ball
to
spot is
add one
critical.
more
This
thing to
was
this play, there's a call by our
snapped at
referee for
B40
roughing
going
the
in.
passer.
We've got this
Now, as we
fumble.
break this play down, the action
is laying
of
out of
number 5,
bounds
he
and touches
completes
it
the catch,
at the,
and as
at
we
the
look
B1
down the goal line, we see the ball definitely
tacking
comes
that on,
out
right, as we
before
discussed earlier from
it
the dead
breaks
ball
the plane
spot.
of the goal.
This happens
And if we follow the ball, it
literally
doesn't hit the
2 inches
pylon.
farther in while it's
And
sitting on the
number
goal
3
line.
of the
And we got
defense
dead
is going
ball
to reach
out of
back
bounds out of the
in,
end zone. We're gonna take
touch
the
the
previous
loose
spot,
ball
and,
while his feet are out of bounds. And we get another view that supports that the ball is out before the goal line, and the defender reaches from out of bounds to touch the ball before number 20.
Safety versus touchback. So any ball foremost or rear point is breaking the goal line, playing the balls in the end zone. That means that whether it's been in there and coming out, Patrick Green brought up a good thing in one of the meetings the other night, where B has intercepted in the field of play. He shimmies around for a minute, momentum's off, and then he kind of backs up towards his end zone, and the ball is sitting over it from coming in versus going out. We always think about it as if they're in there, they got to get the whole ball out, right? That's one of our tenets, and what we know has to happen for it not to be a safety. What if he's backing up and just the back nose of the football is over the goal line and he's tackled there? Well, we got same thing, right? That's from what that's saying. It's the same thing. We've got some of the ball over the goal line. Safety.
The entire ball out of the end zone.
Yep. Whether it was all the way in to begin with or whether or not he backed up into it. Yeah, so good point there. Won't go through these. We got 10, 12 bullets here. Get on into 1 or 2 more plays. But go read about safety and touchback force. If it's something you're struggling with, call John Price or Dennis, Keith Ritter. They'll help you through it. So
back plays. And the
ball
first
must
play,
be
the
out.
offense is backed up. They hand off up the middle, and the back is stuffed
From
behind
that
the
view, it looks like a good
Now,
one.
we get a great reverse
on the
angle
goal line.
on the play, and we see the runner slips and is down with the nose
Yep,
of the
clear
ball
clear
right
safety, right?
Now remember, for this not to be a safety, the entire ball.
Not even. Better eyes than me. It didn't look like any of that football's out.
The first play, the offense is backed up. They hand off up the middle, and the back is stuffed behind the line. Now, we get a great reverse angle on the play, and we see the runner slips and is down with the nose of the.
And it is a good call. This is intentional grounding. There could be some case for discussion about.
All right,
the
so
quarterback
referees, you only saw it once. Is he in or out of the tackle box?
Throw to
If it's close, he's out.
arrive, but
It's a snap from the hash, and he darn throws that from the hash.
This is intentional grounding. There could be some case for discussion about, the quarterback being engaged with causing the throw to be awry, but nevertheless, it's really not. He's breaking loose, so it's intentional grounding. He's in the pocket, ball gets back to line of scrimmage, no one is there. We're just thinking about replay. Can replay get involved? Replay can basically only get involved.
So when in doubt, put him out. We're talking about the tackle box there, right? The free block, the lateral sides of the free blocking zone.
Out in the field of play.
Talking about the end zone as well. Let's be doggone sure this guy is 2-3 yards in before you call it safety. If there's any way you can put him out, you maybe save yourself some grief. I mean, if he throws it from there, obviously then he would have been out. But if he's straddling the goal line, if you can make that ball any way that it was over, just slightly beyond, do it. Force only matters in one direction. That's from the field of play into the end zone. We talked about earlier, the field of play is the area bound by the goal lines and the sidelines, right? So initial force. This was a test question one year, and I think they had 6 bullets as opposed to 5. I just know it by reading it that there's 5 things that can do it, and if you see a 6th, they're only telling you there's 4. I think it was Muff that year, right? So eligible for new force has to be grounded, right? Has to be grounded. That's the main takeaway from this slide. So, and a backward pass. So what's a grounded forward pass? Incomplete. The ball's low, right? So, yeah. And so we know that we talk about grounded. So the batting of a kick or forward pass in flight doesn't change the force. It has nothing on it, right? So one we see often is maybe a kick that is blocked. Guy gets a straight line in on the kicker, blocks it straight off his foot from the A5, and it just goes out of bounds. Out of bounds behind the goal line, I guess. But what do we got there? That's a safety. That's a safety because it's a kick that was in flight that went out of the back of the end zone. So players are what's the rule say, Kim? It says a blocking of a low scrimmage kick entered behind the neutral zone in flight is ignored. Yep. So that's essentially what that is. Yep. Exempt. So pass kick from one flight. Got ahead of myself. Okay, responsible for initial force for ball going into end zone. I guess on a flight, rather a kick in flight or grounded towards ours end zone with no other outside forces, so to speak. Then it's a kick is a kick is a kick, as we always say. Let's see what's going on here. It says touchback, BJ mechanics. So.
You can't be in the end zone. You can't have your feet in the end zone, can you? He downs it.
So is that a touchback? But what we don't want you doing is backpedaling, moving, trying to get somewhere when you got to make a critical rule.
Beautiful. Yeah, you don't have to dive and slide your feet sideways right there. That can be done without. So those feet going in the end zone, that right there makes it a touchback.
At that point, just touch the ball back. Just have it back with it.
No, it shouldn't have been.
The ball's in the field of play down at the 5-yard.
It's not a touchback because the ball was nowhere close, right? So, but his whole body was in, Mr. Blue. Momentum. So we talk about under 2 minutes or 1:59. Momentum is between the 5 and the goal line, right? So we're talking about the 4.999. That is got to be inside of it. Allows defense or hard to put the ball in the end zone if their initial momentum from catching whatever fumble, catching or recovering whatever fumble, backward pass, forward pass, interception that is, and not being penalized for it. So if they, and they got to keep it in the end zone. Is that the caveat? So if they fumble it out one of the sides or the back of the end zone, that's still going to be taken as in the end zone. If they fumble it to the field of play, momentum's off, right? If they fumble it to the field of play, that means we've got a run that ends in the end zone, which is not good many times on a running play if you end up fouling during that run or between the run and then of the related run. So
if he caught it on the 4, momentum took him into the end zone, he was trying to get out of the end zone while an offensive lineman was helping him by holding, would you go out to the 4 and go back to the 2? But in the end zone, let's say we got holding in the end zone before he could get the ball back out.
His teammates holding?
His teammate was holding. Would you take him out to the 4 and then go back to the 2 on the penalty?
No. So the 4 would be taken as the end of the run, but then the foul was in the end zone, so safety. Yeah.
So he would be a safety.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody get that? So again, momentum allows us to take the spot of momentum where we need to have a beanbag as the end of the run. However, it still is a running play in that case because a player has possessed it. We go back to the between the 4 and the goal line, rather the 5 and the goal line, put the ball there and then assess whatever we need to. So in Pete's case, got a foul in the end zone by what is now the offense because they intercepted the ball. We're going to look at the end of the run, fouls behind the end of the run. We don't have all but one anymore, even though I mentioned it 2 meetings ago, but I think that phrase is essentially out of the book now. Yeah, so it's spot of the foul, Dave. That's right, safety. And we got one last play. This is, I think we've all seen it, but this is Larry's game, made the training tape, and
here we have a good example of what we call the momentum rule on this kickoff play.
and they rule touchback as fast as they can because that's what it looks like. Yeah. Friday night says the touchback. See, he might have controlled it in the field of play, but that foot didn't come down until it was in the end zone. So they ruled it a touchback. Replay came out and made this momentum, or that I'd say it was. Well, we place it.
Yeah, we've never.
So momentum, though, the 1 or 2 times you're going to have it in a season potentially, or I won't say in a career because it does happen. You just got to know it, and when you have it, you've got to sell it. You've got to put a beanbag down, or else it didn't happen. What do they say? Offering picks or it didn't happen, right? Yeah. So that's it. Any questions? Great questions tonight. Appreciate the participation.